What are your suggestions for millennials who want to buy fixer-uppers?
I didn't know you could do that.
90% of millennials completely regret buying their home. Do you know why?
First of all, what's a millennial?
A millennial, someone who is, let's see.
Because I don't even know what I am.
A millennial starts around 1980, 1982, somewhere around there, and goes up to 2000.
Okay.
So those are millennials.
So I'm a millennial.
Are
Probably.
you? When
Wait,
were
you said
born?
1980?
Yeah.
I'm
Like
87.
Yeah.
Yes, you are a millennial.
I don't know why you're so shocked. How old do you think I am?
Well, I'm not a millennial.
I could be a Gen Zer, I guess.
I'm
I'm
what
close.
they call
What
a
are you?
zennial because I was I'm not saving my age, but
What am I?
You're a Gen X.
Okay.
A
You're
boomer.
Definitely Gen X. I'm in the middle
not
of
a
Gen
boomer.
X and millennials. But anyway, they hate their homes that they bought. And it's sort of interesting. We have drilled into their head that they must be homeowners to have the American dream. So now they'll do anything to get a home. They'll move into bad neighborhoods that they think might be up and coming. They'll
Well,
get
that's good.
fixer-uppers. They'll take.
That's even better.
It says that 67% of millennials are completely fine with getting houses with asbestos and mold.
Because
It
you
builds
can
character.
The mold makes you stronger. The asbestos, you just take it out and put it in the dumpster
56%
with a permit.
will buy homes with foundation issues.
Okay.
But their biggest gripe is that they move into bad locations with bad neighbors, basically.
So every location started as either a bad or a good one, and locations go from bad to good and good to bad. It's just, part of that change in life. So.
But that's also how you build
Yeah.
a little bit of equity, right?
Wealth. Build wealth.
You build wealth, exactly. So what's going to happen is you're going to buy something in an up-and-coming area, and as long as you're willing to hold on to it for the right amount of time, you're going to make money off of that in the long run.
So you're saying that your generation actually has the right idea.
So he moved into a bad neighborhood.
Did you?
It
Yeah,
became a
and
bad
then-
neighborhood when I moved in.
No, when he moved in, it was bad, and then I moved in the town next door, and then his
And it went-
neighborhood got
Didn't know
better.
that. No, I love your neighborhood.
Yeah, no, it's a good
beautiful.
neighborhood.
But so the funny thing though is that only 18% of millennials actually know how to fix things. So,
I would believe that.
I would say it's lower.
Yeah, it's probably
I've seen
3%.
a lot of millennials
Yeah.
out there. And I know I am one, but I'm
Yeah.
part of that 18% that can,
You actually
work on
built
things.
a really nice mudroom shelf. I just saw
well,
it.
thank you.
It was very impressive. I didn't know you could do that. I was actually
I didn't know I
shocked.
could do it either.
And you
What-
sure your wife didn't do it and you're just taking credit?
She did every bit of it, yeah.
what are your suggestions for millennials who want to buy fixer-uppers, who want to buy things that do need something going into it? They do need some sort of work.
I have a really good answer, right? Marry someone who's not in that generation, who's like a Gen X or one of the other ones who does know how to use tools, and then there you go.
Or learn how to YouTube.
Well, YouTube.
YouTube
Okay.
is great. That's where I learned how to do a lot of my stuff.
I think you're right. And
Yes.
millennials are great at YouTube.
YouTube is awesome.
But seriously, if you're looking at a house for, you were talking about like asbestos and mold.
Those are big things.
But they're treatable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Foundation
So are
issues might
termites.
not be. So that's kind of, you have to draw the line somewhere. So a foundation issue or maybe an environmental issue in the soil, some of those things either are not treatable or very expensive to treat. But if there's mold in your house, you can get rid of mold. If there's asbestos, you can get rid of asbestos. Every house built before 1978 has lead paint.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, you just have to kind of draw the line somewhere of where you can actually fix the issue for a reasonable amount of money.
Or
So
how
it's really
big
money.
the issue is. Like if your outside of your house has asbestos tiles on it, you could still live there. As long as you're
don't-
not scratching them and burning them and whatever, you can live there until you have enough money to dispose of them properly. Or you can cover them with siding and you can still live there. It's
Cover it. You just cover it up. You still have the asbestos. It's still
It's
getting
okay.
into your
The
body.
asbestos only gets into your body, from my understanding, and I'm not an asbestos expert.
You're not.
But when it goes into the air, so if you're touching
When it's
it, if
disturbed.
you're rubbing it, but if you just if we had a chunk of asbestos sitting on the floor here with a cover over it, it would never bother us.
Unless you
It
start
wouldn't even get
scratching at
Yeah.
it and moving it and doing things
So
like
the
that.
millennials can't let their kids eat the walls. Got it.
Or lead paint, as long as you're not eating the walls. Like my kids grew up in a house from 1968, I think. Like I never had it tested for lead paint. I don't know if there was lead paint in it.
Probably did.
Ours is
who
that
knows?
old too, so we probably have lead paint.
Who
But you
knows? Not
paint it over
everybody,
it.
not every house does, and then there's different degrees. You could use the can of paint for the windows, and then a different can of paint for the walls. One could have
Got
not.
it.
As long as your kids aren't eating the walls, And as long as they're not,
and that's a whole different basket of
I'm gonna
problems
have
right
to
there.
talk
If your
to
kids are
Brendan,
eating
my
paint from the
son.
walls,
Don't eat the walls.
Yeah. So just if you had like old windows and you were rubbing them down and the dust was coming and that paint was lead, then maybe that in an argument could get into the air. But
So we're telling millennials you can throw money at it, basically.
yes,
reasonable amount of money.
Yes.
How do they now? All of these millennials around COVID, they went and ran out and bought houses because that's when they were like, we want to buy houses. Now they want to get out of it. How do they do it? Because now the interest rates are crazy, and
But fortunately, the market's still strong.
Yeah. Tons of buyers out there, at least in the Jersey, New York areas.
Yeah, I mean, the market's still strong, even with interest rates where they've gone up and they've doubled in the last year or 2 years. We still have a ton of people looking to buy houses, and they're willing to buy at market value.
Well, the interest rates have risen just a tad, just a little. It went from 6.78 from 6.75. So it's just gone up a little for a 30-year fixed. Is that going to disturb anything? Probably not.
But look at what it was a month ago. It was 7.5.
Yep. So it's been down from.
So it's all good.
It's all good. If you need
It's
a
all
house,
good.
you
Marry
pay the
the
price.
house, date the rate.
Yep.
I love that one.
I did not make it up.
I know
Did
you did.
not make
I know.
that up.
It's
I
a
think we
thing.
talked about
It's
that
a
on
thing.
one of our
somebody
last
else said that,
podcast expos.
But
yeah.
it's true.
Okay, the last hot topic. The last hot topic is that New York City is so overrun with these co-working office buildings and just empty office buildings that now Mayor Adams has a whole program to convert office buildings into 2,100 housing units. And we all know that New York is hurting for...
There's a shortage
Sure.
of housing.
There's a shortage of housing. What do we think about that?
awesome.
I think it's great.
It's awesome. You just need the right developer because converting a building, especially something older like that, there's issues with the elevators,
It has
there's
to
issues
be
with windows.
newer than 1977.
Newer than 19. Okay, so but still 1977. The codes were so much different back then than they are today. It's not an easy task to convert something. You really have to have the right team. But I think it's a great way to utilize an underused building. One of the problems, though, is that some of these buildings, they have leases in them, and those leases expire at different times. So you could have a building that's half empty, right? But then there's other tenants in there that still have another 10 years left in their leases. So it can be a challenge.
Is there a way to get people out when they have leases that are still
Sure,
there?
you buy them out.
Legal ways. Yeah.
No, I don't. If the city were to condemn the building, right? But I don't know if they could do that for a conversion. Condemnations are supposed to be for public good.
Okay.
So that's really for a developer to make money in a project. So I don't know how that would work.
But you can buy them out.
You
can?
could offer to buy people out. You could offer to move them. There's ways if someone's willing to do it. Yeah.
And if I wanted to get in on this, if I wanted to figure out a way to convert a building, if I'm at the point where I want to go that route, where do I start? Do I just look for office
First, you have
space?
to find out if you have money, and then you have to have partners that know what they're doing if you don't.
Right.
And then, go find buildings. And then you could tie up a building under a due diligence period where you could go and try to get it approved. And then if the town or the city approved it, then you could go ahead and move forward. I've actually done that. I've converted a couple buildings from office to residential, and it's not just about converting the space. When you touch a project like that, you also have to bring the building up to whatever the current codes are. Right. So if there's older elevator systems, elevators have to have the ability to fit stretchers in them in case, someone gets injured. They all have to have sprinklers. Like there's so many different rules because a residential use is, I guess, taken more seriously than let's say like an office use. So there's more rules and regulations. So you just have to
But
be able
this
to
kind of
change it.
also brings us back to a topic we talked on, I don't know, maybe a week or two ago. We were talking about adding value to a property, right?
Correct.
So you find a underutilized commercial building and you get it approved to build 20, 30, 40 units, whatever it is. Now, even if you don't do the actual work other than getting it approved, now you can sell it with approved plans and you've added a ton of value to the building.
So how do I find these buildings that I'm going to turn into residential?
Well, there are many ways that you can do this. One is drive around, as we say, driving for dollars. Look at the different buildings. Look for boarded up buildings. Look for buildings that are in really cool areas that you think people want to live in. And then go knock on the door. See if you can go through the tax records and find out who the owners are. talk to local brokers, see if they have some ability to get you into those buildings. Look for signs. You know, people want to lease an empty building, they're going to put a big sign for lease.
Right. And if you see if it's half empty, if they only have one tenant.
You can always ask. A lot of people are going to laugh at you because it is a big undertaking, but you got to dig and you got to keep, don't take no for an answer, and try to figure out what areas that city would allow to be turned into residential, because not every building will qualify. There are rules for zoning. They may not want you here. They may not want residential in this area. So I would go and talk to the local municipal building department or the mayor and the council and see what areas they want to focus on, and then find buildings in those areas, and then go talk to the landlords and see if they want to play ball.
But it could also be part of a redevelopment zone too.
Yes.
That's
So
true.
different towns have their own redevelopment areas, so where it'll make it a lot easier to get the approvals to convert one of those buildings over.
How do I figure out if a town has a redevelopment zone?
Google.
It's usually on their website.
No, it's legit. If you search for a particular town, you can search around on their website and you can find out. That's going to be the easiest way.
Yes. Or go talk to the building department. They'll tell you. Go talk to the mayor and council. Or even these bigger cities have business improvement districts.
Yep.
And they are usually in areas where people are trying to change or convert stuff into a more residential area. So they'll tell you. It's out
So
there.
if any of our listeners regret buying their home and they're a millennial, let us know, and let us know why. We want them to let us know why they regret it. And if anyone is interested in turning a commercial building into a residential building,
Give us the address.
well, let us know where they found it. And, you know, is it in a redevelopment zone?
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. Awesome. It's a lot of fun to do it too.
For watching this episode. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And we'll see you next time.